Hello, America, and anybody else that can see this. This is the LA Times Emmy Performance Panel. We're here at latimes.com with two of the stars of Schitt's Creek. That's spelled with a C between the S and the H. Catherine O'Hara to my left, and Eugene Levy to my right. And we're going to talk about that show and some other things that go deep into their dark past, or I should say, deep into their past. So let's go back. Let's take you back to the
Sounds like hypnosis.
to your first. You were in SCTV together, but before that, you had met in the Toronto scene. Do you remember your first impressions of one another?
First impressions is very difficult for me. I don't actually remember a first impression of Catherine other than being the younger sister of Marcus O'Hara, who at the time was dating Gilda Radner, who I was in a production of Godspell with. And
who were you in Godspell? I know that you were in that, but.
Well, I always like, when you talk about Godspell, particularly my role in a religious kind of musical, as it was, based on the Gospel according to St. Matthew, I played Herb.
Is that true?
Yes. Well, all the characters were named after the people who originated the roles, except for of course, the person playing Jesus and the person playing John the Baptist, and later
Judas?
Judas.
Those are harder.
It was
names
the same
to change.
character, but everybody else had their own name. So I played Herb, the guy, obviously, that couldn't sing because there was no song. Everybody had a song except Herb. Yeah.
And did you later play Jesus?
I later played Jesus, yes, for the last 3 months of the run, and that was really something. Because they had never actually had a Jesus who looked Jewish in the production of Godspell. They all kind of had a Ronald McDonald quality to them in terms of looks, but I was kind of dark and hairy, and they originally wanted me to wax the hair off my body because they thought it might scare children during matinees. But I didn't.
Oh. And
That's great.
And your first memories of Eugene?
I have no memory of anything, except that I was Marcus's little sister, and that Marcus was dating Gilda, and I got tickets to the show through Gilda for Godspell, and it was so exciting and thrilling. And I auditioned later and got a call back, but didn't get in, and just wanted to be in that group of really cool people. And was in love with all the guys, and well, especially Martin Short. Sorry, I used to kiss his picture in the program. I was in high school. I was stupid.
You had a crush on Marty?
I did. Go figure. No, he's lovely. I still do. And then and then the very cool people. Most of them all got into Second City Theater when it opened in Toronto. It had been in Chicago for years before, of course, but they opened in Toronto. And all these cool people were in that cast. So then I followed them there, and I got a job as a waitress, and got to hang around and watch them every night. And then I got to know Eugene.
So do you remember the first time you played together?
Probably when I was understudying.
Yeah, probably. I mean, Catherine kind of came into the company, took over when the Toronto company went down to Chicago for a month. And during those 4 weeks, about maybe halfway through, Gilda got a job with National Lampoon, a touring company. Mm-hmm. So she left, and that's when Catherine took over Gilda's role. So at some point in Chicago was the first time, I guess, we had actually worked together with Catherine doing Gilda's roles and doing them very well, because I remember thinking, wow, she just has come in cold on this show and is actually getting laughs and doing really well.
Nice of you to say.
And she was considerably younger as well than the rest of us, and it was kind of like, I wonder if she's young and talented, but boy, I wonder if she can pull it off, and she did, right? The first show she took over from Gilda.
But those were the the good old days when you could just get in Second City off the street.
Just literally off the street.
Yes, if you showed up for the auditions.
Now you got to go through the workshops and then work your way into a touring company and go to classes, and now it's a whole major.
The school.
It's a McGill, as they say.
When SCTV came along, did you audition for it? Did they choose? Did they come and they chose who they thought would be good for the TV show out of the company?
Oh, I think it was lucky timing for us. I was in the cast at the time at Second City. I think you'd left the cast, right?
Yeah, I'd left the cast, but was still doing kind of work off and on in the cast,
Dave Thomas was still in the cast. Andrea Martin was in the cast.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, it was. I think they took the people that were in kind of the first two shows, maybe.
Yeah.
That opened in Toronto, and Harold Ramis came up from Chicago to help spearhead it, and that was it. We were the cast, and went right into trying to put together a show. The rationale behind SCTV was that SNL had just come on the year before.
Right.
In '75, and SNL was comprised of Second City, primarily 50% Second City, 50% National Lampoon, and Bernie Solins, who ran Second City, owned Second City at that time, said, we're going to be losing our people to Saturday Night Live for these TV shows. We should be creating our own show, and that's how that conversation started.
So you've acted together for several years, and do you find that over time the way that you work together has changed, or is it always a familiar kind of place that you're going to?
I feel like we'd never really. Now people think of us as a team, don't they? Which is great. I'm honored, thanks.
Because of all the Christopher Guest films you've been in together.
That's where it started, yeah. We weren't really, we played couples. We all played couples and groups all through the years with Second City and SCTV, but we didn't play a lot of couples.
We didn't work together a lot on stage.
No, we didn't. Group things.
Yeah, there were group things. I mean, when I started, I think I did quite a few scenes with Gilda in the beginning when the show started, and I worked with Andrea Martin in a few scenes on stage. When you came into the company, I don't remember us having any great scenes together.
No, unless I came in, and took over a scene that you had with Gilda. Then maybe you didn't notice because I was imitating Gilda.
Yes, you did a lot of scenes with Dave Thomas, I remember.
Later, yes.
You had a great relationship, coupling relationships, kind of the Bickersons kind of.
Yeah, angry couples.
And that was, that was pretty much it till the movies with Chris. I mean, we have been working together for a long, long time, but not necessarily like together, as a pair.
Right.
And maybe why we're. I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you.
No, I keep interrupting you.
No, I'm doing it. I do it all terrible.
So that's Canadian, isn't it?
I just always follow Eugene. And then you know what else? I can't come up with the original idea myself, but I can jump on it. No, I was thinking that maybe why it seems to maybe work for us now is because we haven't been working so tightly together, although, for all of these years. We're still just getting to know each other, which is nice. I
understand you needed to be convinced to. That's a canard or a.
No, I just don't. I don't want to brag about. Oh yes, you had to talk me into doing this because I should be so lucky.
No, it wasn't so
and
much
no one did. No one.
No, but you were. I think I just chalk it up to, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you were very kind of particular, not only particular about what you did in terms of projects, but the idea of doing a television series, there's a commitment to a number of years that is scary for anybody, and I think it really wasn't in your wheelhouse at that time. Oh yes, let's commit to a multi-year series. So there was some apprehension.
I should say for anyone that's not familiar with the show that you play a married couple with children who lose you're very wealthy, and then you lose all your money and you have to move to a kind of sketchy town, sort of small town that you happen to own because of a joke.
Yeah, we bought the town as a joke when
Without
we had
seeing
money, and now that we are absolutely broke, the only place we can afford to live is the town that we own, that we bought as a joke. And the reason it was a joke was because it was called Schitt's Creek. That was the name of the town, and that's kind of the richest to rags premise of the show. I think the show really is about the family learning to become a family when they weren't really functioning as a family when they had money. But yeah, so we're playing the Roses, Mr. and Mrs. Rose in this show, and we played couples. We were in an animated movie, Over the Hedge.
Huh?
That was kind of fun. That was a cute little family of groundhogs. But that's pretty much it. I think the
Right.
most we've worked together ever is on the show.
I'm wondering if you would really want to have jumped into a series if it wasn't because of your son.
Well, that's another interesting question.
You should have asked that.
I haven't got to it yet.
Kidding. I'm sorry. You can't get a word in.
I was actually going to ask a question here. I was trying to subtly read this blue tablet here and read a question from Tiffany, who's a reader and viewer. And unfortunately, I've done something strange to the tablet, so I have to just look in this narrow window. But she would like to know what piece of your character would you like to bring into your own life? And your character is a very dramatic ex-soap opera star with a lot of wigs. And your character is, I think, a somewhat serious fellow who is really...
Businessman.
Yeah.
Well, I like to bring
What part of your character would you like to bring into your life?
a lot of the clothes I wear. Really. And I'm learning. Because I asked Dan if I could borrow, Dan Levy, if I could ask him. I asked him if I could borrow one of the dresses for something that I had to do, and he said, sure, which one? And I said, how about the one I wore a couple of days ago as Moira? And he said, that's the most expensive item we've ever bought you for the show. And I thought, wow, I'm learning. I used to be going to Ross Dress for less and, Big Lots or whatever.
Amazing wardrobe.
I'm trying to picture that
on the show.
Now, are those are all and your son Dan, who co-created the show with you and stars as your son, are those all clothes that come off of an actual rack somewhere or from a designer?
Yes,
some of
they're
them
all
seem
they're
so
real.
extreme.
They're real. The dress I wore was Givenchy, and they're real. It's all real. I've never worn this stuff before. I'm just too, I was raised in a big family and we weren't rich, and I learned how to bargain shop. So, yes, they're real. And Dan and Deb Hansen, our costume designer, they're online for months and months and months. He puts stuff in his wait list. Dan and Deb do. They put them in the wait list. Or one site has a dream box or something where you put your things waiting for this prices to go down.
Yeah.
Because it has to be authentic, and that is the one thing about us, our characters, that reminds people without having to say, remember we were rich, You look at us and we are maintaining this part of our world that we lived in. And for me, and I think for you, it just reminds us of who we are, who we really are, even though we're in this town, who we really are and who we're going to be again as soon as we get together, if we're able to sell this town, at least from my point of view. So it's a really beautiful, quick, constant reminder of who we think we are.
Now, you've known Dan since he was
A baby.
baby. So, and Dan co-created, he came to you with an idea and you worked it into a show. What's it like playing with all this sort of family? I mean, it's sort of family, right?
Yeah, it is.
What's it like playing with him now? Suddenly he wasn't an actor really until this show, right?
He acted in a couple of movies, I think, or TVs.
He had a couple of movies, yeah.
Sort of smaller.
Smaller, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Smaller roles, like his dad.
Who's his dad?
Over the years, me. But in terms of experience, acting in a weekly show, being a principal in a weekly show, yeah, this really came out of nowhere, for me. And I've been watching him for years on MTV in Canada, but that was kind of a different thing. That's live,
Yeah.
very spontaneous. Live television, being a persona up there, and doing sketches and writing some very funny things on that show too. But doing something like this, which is when you're trying to do a character-driven show and you want the characters to be totally real and have the audience have an emotional involvement with the characters, that's a pretty heavy thing to ask somebody who has not had that much experience doing it. But boy, he really just came through with both barrels on this one. His character's really funny, and right out of the gate from show one.
And your daughter too is on the show as well.
Yeah,
so
and Sarah.
It's really...
Yeah, Sarah plays Twyla, who works in the cafe, and just she just has a. Well, she's a very sweet girl, and Twyla, as written for this show, is a girl that has had a kind of a weird family background. A lot of guys in jail, and cousins and dad in jail, and the mother we don't know is kind of weird, but she always is the brightest personality. So she's really good. I love Twyla on the show. I think she's kind of the little heartbeat of the show.
Is it a different atmosphere on set because everybody's so tied in and actually related? I mean, when you're playing a scene with your son, is there something paternal going on while that's happening, or are you just disconnected from it?
I think when I'm playing with my kids, there's a different vibe. There's a very kind of scary thing going on where it's almost like you're just in your own kitchen talking to your kids. You're not in front of a camera. Sometimes it gets really close to just feeling like you're talking to your own kids, which I know I am, but in character. So it gets kind of strange, and in that sense.
Another question from the cybersphere, I think they still call it that. Christine on Twitter asks, how much of John's and Moira's personalities are reflections of you?
Go ahead. You didn't get to answer the other.
That's interesting. The other question had to do with what part of your character would you like to incorporate into your own, and I think Johnny has has a great deal of patience, and not so much patience, but just the way, he gets a lot of back talk from his kids, and he seems to just take it with a grain of salt, kind of, I may not have quite that kind of patience in real life, but I guess if there's anything that I would want to borrow from that character, it would be that sense of just, let it ride. It's it's not a big deal. Just let it ride.
But are there things, to go to that question, are there things that in that character that seem like that they are you? Like what in you is there?
Well,
on the
generally
screen?
speaking, I think there's more of me in this character than anything else that I've done. I mean, most of the stuff I've done over the years has been character-based, comedic character-based, maybe a little on the broader side of things. The dad in American Pie was also a character where I could say, I loved his patience in those movies, and I'd love to be more like the character. I think for Johnny Rose, there's more of me in that character because it's basic. I mean, I'm basically kind of myself. I'm just falling on the framework of a character that, I'm not in business. I've never been in business. I don't know what that headspace is like to be in business because frankly, all that has bored me for many, many years. I just get, it's not much fun. So I gravitate more to the fun side of life.
Do you see yourself in Moira at all?
I
She's
hope
pretty-
not, but
Yeah, she's
you know,
pretty
you,
out there.
you can't help but draw on how you would react in certain situations, and I feel like I'm protective of myself, and I feel like Moira is very protective and thinks, pretty delusional about the impression she's making on others. I mean, even when people talk to me about the character I play, I get defensive. I go, really? You think she treats people that way? What? Because I really don't think that playing Moira. I think that, that I'm a people person and that people love me and that I love people and I get along with everyone and I'm fitting in very well in this town, though I will leave tomorrow if I can, but I'm fitting in very well and getting along with everyone. And the nice thing about it that I would like to think I would be able to do, and I think I would have a hard time with it, is if my husband, if his business, if he lost everything, it would be hard not to blame him. Since I was dependent on that. If I was totally dependent like Moira on my husband's income and it disappeared, I was like, okay, it's him, but why did you hire him? Why? And I love that Moira and Johnny had never gone after each other about this, Johnny doesn't come after me about spending all, maybe if he hadn't spent that much, we'd have it, or, we just don't, and I don't attack him, and I think that's lovely.
And she's been an actress, and you're an actress, so you have that in common.
There you go. Although I'd like to think I'm a little more successful. No, she had big success. She had very short-lived, big soap opera success, where she was everywhere a soap opera actress could be, and getting all the attention they could get. Short of getting an Emmy, I guess.
Yes, yeah.
But she's had all this attention, and it's just gone.
Well, Chris Elliott was a fan. His
He was, but he hasn't acted like a fan lately. I actually was aware of that in a scene we were shooting a couple of weeks ago. I was, what happened to you being a fan of me?
Oh, that's gone.
Just gone, isn't it?
That's gone, sure.
Boy, I lost him quickly.
It was, that's when we first got to town.
He got to
and that
know
was
me.
And then he got to know you.
So you're in your second season now, and this is
Third season.
well in America
air.
here, right,
Yes,
on air.
that's
You're making
correct.
your third season.
Yes.
So you're in your second, and here you're done in Canada, I guess, with this season, but
Yes.
it's still showing here.
Correct.
And so this is your first season that you're up for Emmys, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
how does that feel?
Well, it feels pretty good. I mean, I don't know about you. I think I'm pretty much a shoo-in. And
I have to agree.
I'm just saying that because, where's the competition? No, I don't know. It's all really nice. I mean, I think because the show is not so high profile right now, I think just the fact that we're included is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to know your show can go up and be included with some really fantastic, great, funny shows. And whatever happens, happens. I'm not really, I'm not, holding my breath in those terms, because I just think the show has to, get out, and we're trying to get the profile of the show up so everybody kind of knows what it is and gets to tune it in. And I think once you tune it in, you're going to like it. But
I should say that it's on Pop for people that want to find it and watch it that haven't seen it, and that it's not a network that everybody would immediately be familiar with, but
yeah, it's a new network, formerly TV Guide Network, and they kind of rebranded themselves, and they're starting out, and we're starting out, and we kind of they picked us up as their first scripted show, and we're kind of growing together, which is really great. But it's I guess poptv.com. If you can't find it for some reason, You go there and punch in your zip code, and it'll tell you where to find it.
It's on. I mean, it's on television. It's not. It's
No,
on,
no, it is on. No,
it's there.
it is on television.
You can find
You
it.
just have
It
to
is.
look for Pop. Yeah, that's right.
And if you want to binge the first season and catch up, if for some reason you've missed it, then you could watch it on Amazon Prime.
Okay, Amazon
Yeah.
Prime. Hazel would like to know, what new things have you learned about each other since starting this series?
Well, I think I've learned that Catherine can show up on time.
Thank you.
She
Yeah,
hasn't-
I didn't
hasn't
used
been
to.
late once.
Oh, knock on wood.
And
Is that something new for you?
I used to be late. Yeah, the producer of SCTV from Chicago, Bernie Saunders, called me a sociopath one year. He said it was psychotic and sociopathic, that I was doing it on purpose to get attention, being late. I was like, no, I'm writing all night. I like to write at night, and I was writing all night, and
you
then
were an hour and a half late for your own wedding.
okay, an hour and 10
just
minutes.
saying.
Thank you. An hour and 10 minutes, and he married it. Yeah, that's right. I've learned that Eugene is cruel. No, Eugene is very patient and collaborative and easy to work with, and doesn't like confrontation, and so we it's all very. I've learned to be more diplomatic and more elegant in my working manners than I might not have been, or might have been in the past. I think because Eugene and his family are lovely, elegant people. I don't know if you'd know they were, other than the eyebrows, I don't know if you'd know they were related if you came to the set and watched them work. It's just lovely and civilized and fun, really fun. I mean, we laugh. We especially laugh, I think, Eugene and I, when we're blowing it. We don't laugh when we're doing well. We're in character, and, you know, after, when the take's over, we'll laugh. But, you know, when we're not doing well, we laugh at each other.
In the
It's just, yeah, it's fun, lovely.
in the Chris Guest movies, there's a lot of improv, which
Yeah.
I should say, which you co-wrote.
It's all it's all improv. Chris
But
and I
this,
wrote the outlines.
right,
Yeah.
but this seems very tight, and I mean, I feel like it's very organized and to the. Is that right? Are you sticking close to the script here?
I would say we're sticking close to the script. The scripts are really, really good, and there's not much need to change things when they read so well. And at times, sometimes what looks good on the page when you get down to the floor, you know what I mean, just isn't playing the way you thought it would. So then you have to make some adjustments.
Yeah, I would say too. It's not. More often than not, it's not because something's not working that makes you want to change or try something. It's because what's there is so great, and you do it a few times. You go, and it inspires something else. Or what if we do that before that, or that after that? You know, it's not instead of necessarily what's on the page, but I just find when material's really good, it inspires ideas. You know, so. And I feel there's a really nice collaborative kind of freedom on the set, you know, in a professional way, of course, to play with it, you know. But the scripts we're starting with are really great. Thank goodness, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have time for one more question from the world, and Wanda
Yeah.
on Twitter. Twitter is really leading the social media today, I'd like to say. So well done, Twitter. How did you know you would have such great chemistry? I mean, just something you discovered in the doing, I would guess, beforehand.
I don't.
Unless you were just watching Eugene on stage and just picturing yourself standing there with him doing scenes.
Yes, I watched everything we did in the past together, years and years. No, well, Eugene and Dan offered me the part, so they had some idea that I should be doing it, and then it took me a few moments to commit. But when I thought of what a great opportunity it was, and working with Eugene, who I do trust, I already trusted Eugene as a writer and an actor, and as a good man who I could stand to spend time with. So, I don't know, what's your excuse?
Yeah, I think there's at the bottom of it all, a common ground with Second City, having been a part of Second City, generally in terms of an outlook on comedy. It kind of shapes how you look at how you do things. So I think all of us who went through Second City kind of share a sensibility that runs along the same lines. But I mean, Catherine really kind of, goes above and beyond in terms of what she brings creatively to whatever it is she's doing. A lot of great ideas she brought to the role. A lot of very funny ideas. The idea that Moira wears wigs that represent her different moods was just an amazing touch. I mean, it opened up so many funny
fun.
doors on this show, just for looks and how it almost kind of changes. It's true, the mood that Moira adapts wearing certain wigs is actually evident when you see her wearing them, let alone the fact that each wig has its own name.
And they get to hang on the wall.
And they get to just hang on the
them on the
wall.
wall.
But that's it's fun. It really is. Bottom line, it's just fun, and we both take it, kind of seriously in that sense. We both approach it the same way of trying to pour everything into the character and letting the comedy come through very naturally through the character. Very comfortable way of working. Yes.
Thanks. We've been. I see nobody's really signaling me anything, but I see that we've gone 30 minutes by the clock on the floor, and I believe that is time, scene. So thanks.
Somebody should pick that clock up off the floor.
Thanks, thanks, Eugene. Thanks, Catherine.
Thank you.
I love this show. I find Pop on your TV, or find the show on Amazon, or anywhere you can find it legally.
Yes.
So that people are paid, and watch it, because it's a great show. It's one of the truly wonderful comedies that you can see now in the world.